What's up, everybody? This is NealReal, and this is The Father You Didn't Have. Wisdom from an elder about relationships and happiness in life. Like, share, and subscribe. Now let's get right into this topic. Why am I a social outcast? Why don't people accept me into their groups? Okay, so I'm coming from an article I found that was really helpful for me to understand social rejection and things like that. For me, I was often accepted, but the way I was treated within that group was often not so favorable. And there were reasons for that. Mostly because they needed something from me, but they didn't like me as a whole. So if I didn't have any value to contribute, I probably would be accepted anyway. So, I wanted to understand this, like why, and I never was taught this by my parents as to why people reject people in groups. And as human beings, we need to connect and be a part of community. This is just part of our basic human needs. And so here are some of the reasons. This is coming from an article from the website. It's called saywhydoI.com. SaywhydoI.com. And I'll link the article in the show notes, but it gives 4 different reasons and it breaks them down. It's very thorough. And the author name is Liar. I'm sorry, that's just how his name or her name is. Look, it's Lior. And, I found the main reason. Unfortunately, it was the last reason. And I could tell based off of my, how they treated me and some of the things they would say. So first one is why you would be shunned and rejected from a social group or something like that, or you're outcast, is that people that may seem to interfere with the group's goals are rejected. Okay, so if you are a young person or anybody who is trying to join a group and you get rejected, this may be the reason why. So if you come off as a person that doesn't want to share, you come off as a person that only wants to take care of themselves and you don't give to others, that means you're not a reciprocal person. They can't have somebody like that in their group. And if that's the behavior that you have, then you won't be there. If you don't listen, if you're unattentive to people within the group, it makes you hard to work with. So if they see that early on, you will be rejected from the group. Immaturity. Sometimes people need you to be at a certain maturity level. And if you're busting out with temper tantrums and you act immature, and they can't have that in the group because they're trying to do something. They got goals and they can't have people acting like children in the group. You can't cooperate. It's another thing. You can't work together. You have difficulty with social skills, like the inability to read other people. Like, say, for instance, there's some people who can't see that, hey, this person needs to stop talking right now. So people will have a conversation, they'll initiate a conversation with a person, but you can tell that the person is no longer interested talking now. They're done with the conversation. They're getting, they don't want to say, hey, I don't want to talk to you no more. They don't say that, but you can see by their behavior that, okay, it's time to wrap this up. People like that who don't see the social cues, that kind of person is usually rejected from the group. They kind of shunned, and they won't be allowed to kind of enter in because of their behavior. People who have autism or some other weird mental condition where they act kind of weird and they can't really pick up on social cues and stuff like that, obviously will not be accepted into that particular group because they say, well, that's going to interfere with our goals. If you are argumentative, particularly with the group leaders, that's an indicator of a person that just doesn't fit in the group. If you have a tendency to be loud and distracting and inappropriate, once again, if that's not what the group's about, then you won't be able to fit in because of that. If you're a negative person, meaning you're always bringing up some negative shit, bringing down the morale in the group, they don't want that. Narcissistic personality types, people that can't see past themselves, they're always taking and not giving, but they always looking to benefit themselves at the expense of others. That type of person won't be allowed in the group, so they'll get pushed out. If you have low academic skills, once again, these are all connected to benefiting the group. If they see these things and you're not that smart, it may require some additional intelligence and knowledge, higher education, and you don't have it, then most likely you won't be accepted. Low social status. Now, this is a big deal. People want to associate with people in their status, because they feel like if you're with somebody on a lower status, that brings them down. They would prefer somebody in a higher status because that makes the group look better. So, this climbs across race sometimes. If a black person tries to, become part of a group because of their social class status or race class or whatever, they're not accepted because of that. Poverty. So if you don't make a lot of money like the people in the group, or if you're rich, sometimes they don't want rich people around them. But it's this thing where, do we have similar lifestyles? Are we, and if they see that you're rich and everybody's poor, then they probably don't like you. They may think that you look down on them. Or if this is a high class, rich group of people, they may not allow people with a lower income status because they feel like they may need money from them and they'll be asking for money and all that kind of stuff. So disabled people, homosexuals is another one. Some people don't like those people in their group. They feel like, they're gonna taint the population and things like that. These are people's ideas. If, they're about something and you seem to conflict with that, then they're not going to accept you. So what this means is this: once you have this information and you're trying to, and this is not you, you have to demonstrate early on that none of this stuff applies to you. And then you can be included in that particular group. But you can't control people's perceptions. They got something in their head about black people or homosexuals or poor people or rich people or autistic people. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Now the other stuff I mentioned, like the bad behavior, not being able to get along with people, you can change all that. You can go to therapy and figure out why you can't have good conversations. You can increase your social skills to where you can pick up on cues without having to have direct conversations with people or direct messages from people about behavior. But perception is perception from people, and so if they perceive that you are not a good fit because you may hinder the mission of the group, then that's something that's just what you have. Just find somebody else to hang out with, Number 2 is people who pose a danger to the group. So sick people, if you got some type of disease, and they certainly don't want that because that's going to make them sick, so they would maybe ostracized. Back in the day, that's how it was. Certain people, they found out was sick, they was, put him outside the camp. You can't be with us. Mental illnesses, aggression, people who look intimidating. Some people don't like people who have a lot of tattoos and funny haircuts and a certain size on them. It's something they feel some type of way about this person because of their programming, and so they say, this person can't be around us. So you have to take into consideration how you look. If you got tattoos and you're trying to become a part of a particular group that doesn't look like that, it probably won't be accepted. And it's unfortunate that people will reject people who are pretty much trying to be an individual and be themselves in some cases. But people tend to look at certain looks as intimidating or things like that. Another one is traitors, somebody who's known to squeal into the enemy. These type of people are often rejected because, hey, if you did that elsewhere, you might do it here. Another one is members who challenge the core beliefs of the group. Okay, that's a big one. If you're coming off as a person that has an issue with how the group thinks, where they're going, you most likely will be rejected. That's how I got rejected from some of my jobs. How they did things, I said, hey, this is kind of like inefficient. Maybe we could do this or that. And next thing I know, the contract is pretty much dried up. They pretty much replaced me, but they didn't tell me. And so that's what you get when you question how things work. Another one is challenging the group leader and other stuff like, telling people to sin if it's a religious organization or something like that. So these are people who look like they are a danger to the group, okay? And here's another one. Let's keep going. Number 3 here. People who are deemed to offer no benefit to the group. Okay, this is a very simple one here. So if you don't seem like you got any value to bring to a particular group, they just don't want you around. It's like, well, what can you do for us? And that's something, sometimes it's perception. And so in that case, you have to kind of showcase up front, look, this is how valuable I am. But you also have to take into consideration people's bullshit sometimes, just to judge you and to conclude that you don't have any value to us is kind of fucked up. And do you want to be a part of a group like that? But once again, you may want to be a part of a group but have nothing to contribute. Well, if you get rejected, that was the right thing to do. You don't bring any value to the group. We have things that we're trying to do. We have a purpose that we're trying to accomplish, and you don't have anything to bring to it. So why would I include you here? You can also have a lot of positive things that you can give, but that's not what they want. And the fourth one is what a lot of times is happening, is I've saw in my life as well. And this is the rejection due to painful projection. So I'm gonna just read the whole thing because I think it was just well written. It says, I quote, "They're just jealous of you." It's often the defiant cry of a parent defending their child when they aren't accepted by a group of their peers. Whilst usually there are many other possible reasons for social exclusion, jealousy can be a cause. And I like the word envy because I think that's a better word, but people tend to use those interchangeably. But it goes on to say, if you project something that others don't have, like good looks, intelligence, athletic prowess, wealth, self-confidence, or any other positive trait, they may resent you for their own deficiencies. In fact, in such cases, it's entirely the rejector's own issues leading to your social exclusion. This is happening. It's a real thing, and it's fucked up because you done nothing wrong. And here you have a group of people who are insecure, and they're looking at you like, you got all this going for you, and you just want to be included in, meet your human needs like they do. And nope, you don't belong here. You can't be here. So what you'll do is be pushed out, mistreated, and that's designed to get you out of the group because they don't want you around them because it makes them feel bad. It goes on to say here, similarly, any negative traits a person has which remind others of the same traits within themselves can be painful to see. So if a person is very overt in their lack of self-confidence or insecurity, it may mirror these same shortcomings and vulnerabilities in others. It goes on to say, when people observe these uncomfortable traits, it may set off a familiar lurch inside them that they possess these same traits, but they may find it so subconsciously repulsive that they reject the person who embodies this awful trait that they fear and dislike in themselves. It is easier to disown vulnerability by rejecting others than it is to face your own vulnerabilities head on. There you go. So some rejections from groups is just based off of projection, envy in some cases, or, you mirror some of the things that they don't like about themselves. So I thought this article was very interesting. I think it's exhaustive. I don't see any other reason why somebody would reject you. It's so many. So, once again, a rejection due to painful projection. Number 3, people who are deemed to offer no benefit to the group. Number 2, people who pose a danger to the group. And number 1, people who may interfere with the group's goals. So I've been rejected because of race. I've been rejected because of my masculinity and around other white males. It's weird out here. But what you have to take into consideration is if that group don't accept you, that's fine. You don't belong there. You don't want to be a part of that group. And that's how you look at it. So don't take it too personally. But I know it hurts because as a human being, you need connection. You need to belong. You want that sense of community, and you're looking for that. And you just got to keep looking for it until you find it. Don't stop. Don't give up. Don't feel like something's wrong with you. And it's funny for me because I took a personality test, and I mentioned these before in my videos, but it stated that my personality was the rarest of all of them. There's 16 personalities according to this test, and I was 1.5%. My personality is 1.5% of the population, basically, or the numbers based off of this test. And so I'm like, man. So when you are different from other people, that's another reason why people may not want to accept you. You're just not like them. So you have to find people like yourself. And once you know who you are and what you about, then you can then say, okay, these are the traits I have. Maybe I can find somebody else. And so that's how it works. That's how social acceptance and rejection works. Hopefully that helps you if you find yourself being rejected from groups. It could be those things. And if you have any stories or questions, you can put them in the comment section or email me. That's all I got for you regarding that particular issue in life. Thanks for listening to the end. I appreciate you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You can email me at neal@nealreal.com. You can also go to my website, NealReal.com. I encourage you to check out NealReal.com. That's NealReal.com. Or you can email me at neal@nealreal.com. Have a blessed day.